The Lake Albert Basin that lies at the parallels of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo is a jewel in the Western Rift Valley's crown. The lake has a lower fish diversity than other African Great Lakes, but it is known for its rich biodiversity proximity to national parks, Queen Elizabeth to the north and Semliki National Park to the south, making it an important strand in the country's tourism. Uganda's discovery of commercial oil volumes 15 years ago in the lake basin further increased the lake's significance in transnational politics. But the recent rise in water levels pushed the lake to burst its banks and flood downstream. This resulted into the displacement of thousands of people, and the floods destroyed millions worth of property. However, this trail of destruction went largely ignored as the country continues to suffer from the varying stress levels of changing climatic patterns, mainly from floods, landslides and droughts. Ntoroko district, which lies within the lake's basin to the southwestern, continues to reel from the effects of rising water levels. A district floods assessment report details that this disaster displaced over 10,000 people, majority of whom are living in displaced camps today. 2 years ago, after the rising water levels submerged several villages, there is no indication that the water levels are receding, an ominous sign about the climate disasters the country will have to deal with. The government developed a national risk and disaster profile for coordinating regular disaster vulnerability assessments at community level and coordinating timely responses to disasters and emergencies, but this plan has been beset by lack of a law to govern disaster risk reduction and management, failure to operationalize the contingency fund for emergencies since enactment of the Public Finance Management Act in 2015, and the lack of funding for local governments towards disaster management and preparedness. Ntoroko district comprises of the verdant revolving highlands, part of the Rwenzori mountain ranges, and the lowlands, which according to a recently released national disaster risk profile are highly vulnerable to flooding and drought. According to the disaster risk profile, the district ranks in the 10th position for all climate disasters including earthquakes, landslides, hailstorms, windstorms, drought and lightning. Kamuga village is one of the worst affected by the rise in the Lake Albert waters. It is entirely submerged, about 3 meters or 9 feet. 3 years ago, one drove to the village. Today, one has to ride about 15 minutes in a boat to get there over rooftops, waterweeds and other floating debris. We found a community of about 46 homes constructed on elevated makeshift platforms within the village. The village LC1, Herbert Mwebembezi, says government abandoned the community.
2019, it's when the water started coming. After it flooded until the whole place were swept off. And some of the people migrated to Katanga. They are thinking that the water may not even reach there. But unfortunately, even it swept the area of Katanga.
He said many of the residents owned the land.
Most people who are here, they don't have where to go. Some of them, they are boneyards. They found themselves here. And this place was even a land like other places. Even cars were coming from here. And even the government tried to create a road for us there, but all were swept off.
For the faint-hearted, this is not a place to visit nor live, but residents say they have no option.
We decided to stay because we have nowhere else to go and the water is too much. You need a boat to go everywhere, to the neighbors or to the latrine, and the UPDF has been confiscating some of our boats.
In Canara sub-county, The deluge affected some 7,000 people, and at least 4 villages were totally submerged.
And we had the information that the land that they wanted to give us, it's not there, and we had nowhere to go. So we decided to stay here.
It has been going for the last 2 years. This water has been increasing slightly. It started in November 2019. It kept on increasing gradually until Feb this year. That's when the water a bit stopped.
The communities whose homes were submerged now live in squalor and have no basic services like healthcare and access to clean water. At the beginning of this year, Canara sub-county head offices located in Rangara village were submerged, and the nearest Rangara Health Center 3-2 was closed after it was submerged. Floods also submerged primary schools such as Rangara, Umoja, Katwankumu, and other facilities in the area. Even when schools reopened momentarily earlier this year, several school-going children remained stranded. The Canara sub-county LC3, Friday Mugisa, told NTV that the central government has shown little concern about their plight.
Those who have managed to move into the nearby land, they are renting the land at a monthly fee of 50,000. So those who can't manage to rent the land, they are still living in the water like around here.
This, as the living conditions are appalling.
So it is a big humanitarian crisis, which we think the center, the government, the central government, the president should consider. Actually, the president should have reached here like how he does in Kasese and other places when they get floods. These floods has not only affected Canara sub-county in Ntoroko, also Butungama sub-county has been affected, and Canara town council has also been affected.
85% of Canara sub-county was submerged and 17 villages affected. 4 were wholly submerged. To move from one home to another, one has to carefully route around on boats or to carefully balance on the rickety wooden structures which act as bridges. Residents also keep measuring the water level to avoid any eventualities like being carried away. There is also no boundary between the flooded villages and the lake, which makes it more dangerous. Safe water has to be boiled or fetched from the land. Some households with more than 10 family members dangerously cram in small houses elevated on old timber inside the lake, rising at 9 feet. Residents admitted that there have been a few accidents, but without viable alternatives like affording to rent small portions of land, this will remain home for a foreseeable future. To use sanitation facilities, toilets, one has to route around on a boat to any of the floating islands. Men dive into the lake to take a bath, while others improvise a distance away. But the situation is worse for women, for they have to route around in boats to hide behind any floating papyrus islands. This is what Dorcas Atilako had to go through to take a bath in privacy.
When
you want to bathe, you look for a nearby bush, or you bathe inside your house. It's even worse when you fall sick. You have to travel many miles to the land.
The District LC5 chairperson William Kasolo admitted that the living conditions for many of his people are deplorable.
Those people, Ugandans living in Ntoroko, in that flooded Ntoroko sector, in the sub-county of Canara and town council Canara, feel neglected. But that is not the issue, because we have been making plans, government has been providing relief quarterly. But for them, when, we are living in information age, so for them, when they see that government was able to permanently resettle the Bududa landslide victims, resettle floods of this Nyamwamba in Kasese flooding, so for them, they are tempted to think that they have been neglected, considering the 2 years they have been living under those appalling conditions.
Kasolo says they plan to relocate.
requesting for the gazettement of a small portion of the Toro Semliki Wildlife Reserve. Make a resettlement plan and logistics are provided. We resettle these people once and for all, because the lake has also proved to remain where it is.
However, he passed blame to his predecessors.
The leaders who were there, because I can't blame myself, I'm just 3 months now old in office. I have been making engagements with the center, and I am seeing they are yielding. They have started to yield the results. Proposals have been put on table.
In the last 2 weeks, UPDF Marines have raided the area, making life more unbearable.
We are on our own here. Everyone was fending for themselves in the best way they can to survive. Trouble started recently when the UPDF Marine came and started chasing from these villages, saying they are fighting illegal fishing. Then they started confiscating our boats. Remember, it is the only means of transport that we use around here.
Uganda and neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo in March this year agreed to joint cross-border fisheries monitoring on Lakes Albert and George at the border to eliminate illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing. The two governments indicated that the joint patrols will be conducted on the lakes to protect the breeding areas, covering the breeding areas and the deep waters from the landing sites. In Uganda, the operation stretched from the Lake Albert Island of Malango in Ntoroko district northwards to Chikube district, while on the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo side stretched from the disputed Rukwanzi Island. About 70 kilometers away in Canara Town Council, life is not any better. Here, the rising water levels displaced 2,000 people who are now living in a camp. Others, like 63-year-old Beswell Ouma, was left to fend for themselves. Ouma used his life savings to construct a commercial building almost a kilometer away from the lake shoreline, but today he is a pauper.
At this point, I'm just hopeless. I don't have anything. Whatever God decides, wherever fate leads me to, I'm ready.
He lives a destitute lifestyle.
This is my home now. As you can see, both Vane and Son treat me the same way. I'm just suffering, but what can I do?
In Canara Town Council, 5 villages were wholly submerged and 8 others partially affected. Towards the tip of the west in this area lies Semliki Wildlife Reserve, which is off limits for human activity. The town council mayor, David Kaur, says the state of affairs is appalling.
Day and night, everything they told me, the mayor. I earn 300,000 a month. The mayor, Canara Town Council.
Kaur accuses government of shirking its responsibility.
You can hear today, refugees are coming, asylum seekers from Afghanistan to Uganda. Why should our own suffer? If Ugandans, UPDF are going to Somalia to pacify Africa, why our own should suffer? Does it make any sense? You should begin cleaning your own house, and then you get out. Because these people are there suffering. You look around, you really wonder. Our government is doing a lot. Globally, we are shining. Why should Canara Town Council, Ntoroko district suffer?
The blending has yielded some unintended consequences.
Because now, a lot of things, dangerous things are happening. They are little control because you take 1 step, 2 steps, you've entered another whatever. So the same thing, this kind of mixing, this kind of situation, so it is really dangerous, it's really hazardous, and we don't know what kind of the children will come out in this because it is not selective of only elders, no, everybody. is here. Child, what, young girl.
District officials say that they are in touch with the central government about what needs to be done.
At first we thought the lake levels would go back, but it's not coming to be feasible. And so what my request has been is that we should verify the vulnerable from those IDP camps, those who have nowhere to call home, those who have no substantial income. And we leave the people who are remaining there because of economic activities.
Officials from the Office of the Prime Minister toured the area earlier this year, but visited only one village on land where a camp for the affected residents was established. Upon learning that they were supposed to ride on boats to the other villages, they cut short the trip and promised to return after securing a helicopter from the UPDF to fly over the area. This is what has left many residents feeling disillusioned. With no free land available in the district, it means that there is no solution yet in sight. But with the ever-growing drastic effects of climate change, many parts of Ntoroko, like many other districts, could be unlivable in the near future.